Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, which is Meggy's Craftyverse, which is just me sharing what I love, all my cozy hobbies, and I'm in my reading era right now, so expect a lot of book content, reading content, that sort of thing. Yes, I'm wearing the same jumper as last time, but no, it's actually a different day. In the autumn time, I live in my jumpers and my sweaters, and I love a good knit, and this one is one of my favorites, so I basically live in it. Anyway, on to what the video is about. I thought after my kind of first video back explaining everything that I read this year, I thought it'd be nice to go through some of my favorite books that I've read this year and see if they're anyone else's favorites or if they're on your TBR to read and what your thoughts are. So I've picked kind of top 5 books. Obviously, this list can change depending on how I'm feeling, but I've actually tried to highlight either unique books to me that I haven't heard a lot on kind of BookTube, BookTok, Bookstagram, that sort of thing, as I like to highlight different books. Some are indie books as well, and I like to highlight them, and they were all 5-star reads for me, so hence why they're gonna be a top 5 favorite book. So I'll start with the 2 physical books, and then I'll go on to my 3 Kindle reads. So the first one I want to mention is Only a Monster Can Kill a Hero. Now, going into this, again, the title is like very interesting and kind of draws you in, so I was like very interested in it. But let me read you the back of it. If you haven't read this and the back of it intrigues you, don't look anything else up. Just read it. Again, the kind of message from my first video was like literally read a book blind, and this is like how I've actually enjoyed all these books. I kind of went in blind, just read the back of it, heard that some people loved them, but I was like, I'm just gonna give them a go. Well worth it. So this book, Only a Monster Can Kill a Hero by Vanessa. I will read the back of it now. In every story, there is a hero and a monster. It should have been the perfect summer. Sent to stay with her eccentric family in London, Joan is determined to enjoy herself. She loves her job at the historic Holland House, and when her co-worker Nick asks her on a date, it feels like everything is falling into place. Then Joan learns the truth. Her family aren't just eccentric, they're monsters, with terrifying hidden powers, and Nick isn't just a cute boy, he's a legendary monster slayer who will do anything to bring them down. To save herself and her family, Joan will have to do what she fears most, embrace her own monstrousness. Monstrousness? Ooh, don't know. Because in this story, she is not the hero. That is all you need to know about this book. Please go into it blind, I promise you. It's so worth it. This was the book I read in a day. Every time I had to put it down, I was like thinking about it, obsessing about it. And it's quite like a thick enough book, and like it's printed quite small as well. I appreciate this page kind of looks, there's a lot of dialogue in this on that page, but like it's not exactly big writing to me anyway, but it's very floppy. Not as floppy as I've seen some US books, but this is like one of my floppier books. This is like really, really good. I promise you, like this is worth it. Definitely read this. And then the next book is one that I actually found from a creator on TikTok, Laura the Wild by Analeigh Sbrana. Again, I'm so sorry if I pronounce any of these names wrong. This is like perfect cottagecore fantasy vibes, very autumnal, so very perfect for this time of year, and I absolutely loved it. So the back of this one says, would you like to know how to capture the moonlight and wield it for yourself? How about which mushrooms will give you the strength of 100 men and which will put 100 to sleep with just one taste, to never be subjected to the dark again? Would you like to know if your loved ones are safe all those miles away? It's fantastic. And then what it's about, it says, a library with a deadly enchantment, a fey lord who wants in, a human woman willing to risk it all for a taste of power. In a land ruled by ruthless fey, 21-year-old Laura Alamuse village is trapped in a forested prison. Laura knows that any escape attempt is futile. Her scars are a testament to her past failures. But when her village is threatened, Laura makes a desperate deal with a Fey Lord. She convinces him that she will risk her life for wealth, but really she's after the one thing the Fey covet above all, magic of her own. As Laura navigates the hostile world outside of her village, she's forced to rely on 2 Fey males to survive. When undeniable chemistry ignites, she's not just in danger of losing her life, but also her heart, to the very creatures she can never trust. And how it describes itself as the perfect cottagecore book about books with a love triangle that will keep you guessing, which is, I think, the perfect representation. But also, it is one of the prettiest books I own. Like, it is gorgeous. Again, that is all you need to know about the book. Please go into it blind. I will probably say this in every video I ever make about books. I believe that a lot of the books I have ever loved is when I didn't know much about them. I read the back of it, got the vibe, and then I thought, oh, I quite like the sound of this, and just read it. I didn't look up anyone else's reviews. I didn't watch anyone else's kind of, even a spoiler review about them. I just went into them blind, and they were so worth it. So those were the two physical books that I read that I would say are one of the top 5. And then Kindle books is actually, this one is a book 2, which normally I do actually prefer book 1 of a book series, but this is book 2, and it's called Rule of the Aurora King by Nisha J. Tuli. Again, I'm so sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. I'm horrible with names and I feel so awful about it. This is a book 2 in the Trials of the Sun Queen series. Book 1 for me was a 4-star. It was a really good setup. I loved getting to know the characters. I loved kind of the trials and learning about why. But this is where the story really picks up. Again, yeah, these are my Thranduil Kindle stickers. I love them. But this is where, like, the book series for me really picks up. I also rated the third one 5 stars, but I feel like this was still my favourite. So, if you haven't heard of the series, basically, it's about this girl and she is in prison and she gets taken out of prison to compete in the Sun Queen trials. So basically it's where they have like a different set of trials. They have also like etiquette that they have to learn as well, because if they're going to be the queen, then, you know, they kind of need to have etiquette. So it's about her knowing who to trust, who not to trust, finding out about these trials because she has no idea. She's basically been taken to go into these trials, and basically she wants to win because she's got her family are still imprisoned and she wants to kind of like spring them out, and she believes that if she wins she'll be able to rescue them and secure their freedom. And that's all you need to know. That's basically kind of the premise of the first one. I can't really say too much about this because it'll be spoilers for the second one, but definitely read the series. So good. I actually binge read the first book, second book, and third book all together, read them probably like in a week or 2, and had no idea the 4th book wasn't out. So I was quite upset because the 3rd book ends on a cliffhanger, which is no surprise, but I thought I was reading a complete series when the 4th book wasn't out. So I'm very excited for the 4th book. So yes, this is one of my other top 5 favourites, and just because I don't really hear too much about this series, I felt like it was definitely worth talking about. And then the next book I want to talk about, which, as I said, I also read it on Kindle, is actually an indie published book, and it's called Pippi's In for Wandering Spirits by Erin Ritch. This was a very surprising read for me. It's definitely very light on the fantasy and kind of like spirits, and kind of like a sentient house, a talking fox, which you'll find out more about. Love it. But this surprised me so much, but I absolutely loved it. But it was also like so heartfelt. I felt like the message in it was just so meaningful. It was bittersweet. There was like romance, just everything. But it was so cozy, so autumnal. Like the vibe and the atmosphere of this book and the aesthetic is perfect. Now, I would actually say don't even, it sounds a bit weird, but I'm not even going to tell you what it's supposed to be about, because I feel like I went into this pretty much blind. I am friends with Erin on TikTok and I wanted to support her, and I downloaded and read the book really without knowing too much about it, and that was the best experience for me. So if you want to support her, support an indie author, and also just read a fantastic book that I think has a message that we all need to hear, please go and get this book. It was a 5-star for me. Had me in my emotions, had me wanting to cry, had me wanting to laugh, giggling, screaming, just loving it all, and wishing it wasn't over. When I finished this book, it was one of the few books that I was like, I just want more. Like, I really want more. Like, it was so good. I absolutely loved it. So I highly, highly recommend this. Like, really, really do. And lastly, my 5th book that I want to talk about is quite a popular one. Like, loads of people have talked about it, but I can't not include it because this was like so much more than what I had heard about it, and I just fell in love with the story, fell in love with this duology, fell in love with this world, and I actually also loved the novella. So maybe that's also one of my top 5 books, but I have to give it up for The Serpent and the Wings of Night. Carissa Broadbent's writing is amazing. It, like, made me addicted to the story. Like I did not put this book down, and these are big books, and I read this in like 2-3 days or something. It was like I ate it up. Like it was so good. So I highly recommend this. Again, you've probably heard about it, but basically a human child, I suppose, is well, she was only like a baby or something, was taken by a vampire lord, vampire king, and raised as one of his own, you know, raised as his daughter. And there's trials in it, and she enters it because she wants power, because she's in a world of vampires and she's a human, so she's at a distinct disadvantage. And it's just about, again, her knowing who to trust in the trials, you knowing not to trust. You kind of get more of a backstory into her, more of a backstory into her relationship with her adoptive father, who's a vampire, and just like the world, the storyline, again, just like the emotion. Oh, it's heartbreaking, it's heartwarming, like, and the ending, oh my god, like it makes you want to read the second one immediately. So this was definitely a top 5 of mine. If you have any recommendations of the 5 books I've mentioned that I haven't read or haven't mentioned in my last video, please let me know. I'm always up for new recommendations. I am currently trying to go through my TBR, which is a bookshelf that's like off camera at the moment. I have like my TBR books completely separate, so these are all the books I have read. Some of them I do want to reread, like my Lord of the Rings books I'm rereading, but most of my new books are over on the other bookshelf, which maybe I'll do a bookshelf tour. If you want to see that, let me know. But yeah, this was my top 5 books that I have read so far this year. Who knows, maybe some of these will be overtaken by books I'll get to read in the next couple months before the year ends. But yeah, thank you so much for joining in on my little book community, my little cozy community that I'm creating. As I said, I'm definitely in my reading era right now, so there's going to be a lot of book content coming, but there's definitely going to be other cozy content coming. As I said, writing, my gaming content, obviously I'll keep up with that, desk content, small business content. I'm hoping to start a small business very soon, so hopefully I'll be able to show some of that content as well. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you in the next video.